Welcome to Sikorski's Think Abouts, and I'm your host, Laura Sikorski. My goal is for our guests and I to share our expertise and think about that will help you provide outstanding customer service experiences to your customers using people, processes, and technology. Today, our guest is Holland Haiis, and we are very excited that she traveled in from the city this morning, and it was great. And Holland has a great topic for us. It is business equals technology, and consciously connecting equals people. And that is learning the difference. So welcome to our show this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
And I'm going to tell a little bit about Holland. She is a business consultant, and her strength is in organizational and leadership development. She coaches not only professionals and executives, small businesses and nonprofits, but individuals. And I found it fascinating when Holland was explaining what she has helped doctors do, for some doctors who are choosing to leave their practices, and how to compete in the real business world, so to speak. But she teaches them about leadership, value of communications, marketing strategies, business metrics. A lot of people in small businesses just don't know how to do the metrics.
This is correct.
And actually how to reach their personal and financial goals. And I think one of the most important things, and I'm so excited to be talking about, is she is an author of the book called Consciously Connecting: A Simple Process to Reconnect in a Disconnected World. And that's why we chose our topic for today, because we are all so involved in technology. It's like our cell phone is at the hip, we're constantly looking and reacting. And I said, you know what would it be like to talk about getting back to the basics?
Yes.
So with that, we're going to go. So in the age of technology, we have become disconnected at a cellular level. The time to reconnect to ourselves and each other is now. And part of the brilliance of this book,
thank you,
is that it is very easy read. It takes the year. It gives you a theme for the month of the year, and then every Sunday you have 2.5 pages to read that I feel will change your life. And of course, I only read March, so
we know 1 month is okay.
1 month is okay.
11 more to go.
11 more to go. And with that, let's talk about communications. What is communications in this disconnected world?
Oh, yes. Well, I think we can all realize, and we know what it feels like when we get an email or we've had a phone call that maybe didn't have the information we wanted, or maybe someone was a little disgruntled. And we move on to our next email, and we are in the frame of mind from the previous. And we know what happens. We misinterpret, we read things in that really aren't there, we wonder why someone has such a bad attitude towards us, and then we respond. And so very often this sets up responding, and then another response, and then someone responds, and then there may be 3 or 4 people. And what we realize is down the line we end up doing damage control, which takes another 10 to 15 emails, and it's a big time waster. So what is really great is if offices can instill some sort of policy where it's maybe 3 emails back and forth, or you set up weekly meetings so that you can meet with your team, meet with your staff, work through some of those difficult areas that just can't be worked through on the technological side because there is too much margin for error. And as we all know, it just keeps going on and on.
And on and on. And I know we were talking earlier is that I myself find the millennials tend to only want to use technology. They want to text, they want to email, and sometimes I get so frustrated because I say, please just pick up the phone. We just keep going around in a circle,
the same circle,
and we've lost what the original email was, and sometimes I even forget what you wanted to ask, you know.
Well, some of my clients that are more open to this, and they tend to maybe be a little older, when we do have millennials in the office, and really it's for anyone at this point,
right,
we have instituted the 3 text, 3 email rule. So once you get to 3, you must pick up the phone, because clearly if something is taking this long, it's either, again, a waste of time when you could clear it up in a simple phone call or walking down the hallway to someone else's office. Or something is being misconstrued. And so it's easier to nip that in the bud, because you can hear inflection when you speak to someone, and you can only assume what that is when you're trying to read it in.
Or some people type in all caps. Well, that's yelling, and one of my brothers types in all caps, and he goes, I'm so used to it, I don't think I could learn how to cap.
He's probably like, I can't see.
I can't do it. So let's talk about a little bit about customer service. And our show, as you know, is about customer service and how our companies are taking care of those valuable customers and employees at the same time. So talk about that in terms of our disconnected world.
Well, what is so wonderful about giving great customer service is being able to have those on the front line trained and understand how important it is to really reach out and deal with a customer one-on-one and face-to-face as an issue happens. And again, this comes from communicating to your team, which isn't really done the best way through these mass emails, but having meetings together, understanding and explaining how you deal with an unhappy customer, how you deal with a product that hasn't lived up to expectations. And when you're able to give this type of customer service, we know that in the long term, this builds out your brand and it builds out your business.
That's very true. I totally agree with that. I love this comment. Think big, act small.
Oh, all right. Well, this makes me think of Disney. So here we have a large corporation. This is the largest theme park in the world, and yet everyone loves to go because they talk about having a personalized experience. And why do we want to keep our mom and pop shops open in our neighborhoods? Because when we go, we feel it's a personalized experience. They know our name. They make us feel welcome. Well, Disney does the same thing. They think big. They want to remain #1, but they act small. They want to know if you're celebrating a birthday. They want to know if you're there for an anniversary. They welcome you from the moment you're in the parking lot with helping you to remember you're at, Elephant 7, so here's how you're going to remember it, and write it down, and they have a slip of paper for you. They make everything personalized and customized, and that is what keeps people coming back for more.
And I think they don't want you to have an error in your stay, if you will.
That's right.
Their whole thought process is on the experience, because when you get back, you're going to say, what a great time I had, and they were so careful that I did this, I did that, and I wasn't upset, or whatever it was in the theme park.
And a happy customer, we know, builds your brand.
Absolutely, absolutely. So HR, human resources, is, that is I believe, one of the most important departments within a corporation, because they're the hiring, they assist in the firing, they assist in the quality and the assurance, and the education. Training generally goes under the HR function. So I'm interested to see why you've got 401k benefits there.
Well, the thing that happens to all of us, we start a new position or we move to a new company, and what is the first thing that we get? We get this packet that's either the size of an encyclopedia, or we get a PDF file and we're told, go through there, sign up, and you don't know what you're signing up for. You don't understand the 30 different mutual funds and how they might impact you as a millennial who is single, or someone else who has 3 children and is married, and you want to work with someone who is specialized in this field. And it becomes really important to invest this time in your employees so that they can really fully understand what you are giving them. The whole idea of a benefit only becomes a benefit if I, as an employee, feel I'm benefiting from this.
Right.
And I don't feel I'm benefiting from it if I can't understand what's there.
And half the time you're so nervous about starting a new job anyway, and then you have someone saying, okay, well, you have to fill out this and you have to do that, and then you're lucky, you have a desk. I remember at one time employed, and I went to work so excited for the first day, and nobody consciously connected with me. They didn't really care who I was, if I was there or not, and they didn't even have a desk. So again, we're just trying to bring all this back to consciously connecting. Technology is great, insurance is great, make the person feel comfortable.
And what we have to remember is, if we go to our outside resources, the experts who have set up our pension plans or the 401ks, the experts who are the insurance brokers, and we bring them in for a lunch meeting, and we inform and educate our employees, we know that our consumers want to be informed and educated, and we ask our employees to do that. So we want to spend the time, the money, the resources to do the same, because the happier our employees are, we know they work harder, and again, they work more at the customer service and building our brand.
Right, and that's the tagline, happy employees mean happy customers.
That's right.
And it really is very true in our crazy world today. So policies and procedures. I mean, I know when I go into a client and I say, do you have policies and procedures? And they'll go, no, you know, and I'll say, well, how do you know that you're consistent with your customers and your employees, that they're following what you want to do? So how does that bring us into consciously connecting?
Well, what's really great is, and what you have to remember is, your greatest resource in business is what? It's people. It's wonderful to have technology, but your biggest and greatest resource are your customers on one hand and your employees on the other. So your employees that are at the front line, and let's face it, if you're a CEO or you own a business, you're not out there with the customer every day, because you're working on marketing, and you're making sure that your business metrics and your budget stays online. So the people that are out there and the face for you, you want to make sure that we're all following the same policy. You want to make sure that that feedback is coming back to you as the owner, and you want to make sure that if you need to change a procedure and do something needs to be tweaked, it's a little better because you've been hearing this over and over, you want to make sure that everyone's on board. So it goes back to what we first discussed, which is having team meetings and making sure that everybody is on the same page.
Well, and I find when I worked in the corporate world, I had a boss who said 10-minute meetings, that's it. If we can't get done on a theme in 10 minutes, it's not worth our sitting. And our bum is not going to endure it for that much longer, because you get antsy and your train of thought goes away. In-house mentor. I've always had a mentor, and regardless of what, even if I was consulting, and I 100% agree with you.
Well, I think it's such a great gift to give to a new employee. And I sometimes get a little pushback from business owners on this, because they say, oh, you know, that means if I'm choosing a mentor for each team or mentors in each department, I'm losing time from this person for maybe 2 hours a day or a week or whatever it is that's scheduled. But I always ask them to look at the flip side of that. When you have someone that is new in your business or a new position, every company has their own culture.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if you've been in healthcare your whole life. When you go to a different facility, it is a different culture. And what do we want to do? We want to service our customers to the best of our abilities. And we want to do it within the culture of this particular business. So when you have an in-house mentor who can bring you up to speed that much quicker, as opposed to you trying to learn by trial and error, and let's face it, that's the way most of us learn.
Right.
But if you've got a mentor who is there with you,
who's giving you that guiding principle.
Yes.
And that's what we need.
You will be up to speed that much quicker, and you become more valuable.
Total agreement. Marketing and business growth. Now, we were talking about websites just before the show aired.
Yes, we were.
And I was saying how bad mine is. So, I mean, you could go and take a look at it. It's laurasikorski.com. And you will laugh at the fact that I just have one page. And yet when you go to Holland, which is Holland Haiis, but it's HAIIS.com, totally different on what and how we should be doing our websites today. And you had mentioned in the discussion was you can't put everything on the website.
You can't. And I know it's compelling to want every technological bell and whistle, because as we learn about these things and we see them on someone else's website, maybe we go to Apple or Google, but what we have to remember is those companies are in technology. They are revolutionizing technology, so they need to have a pretty cool technological website. But most of us, our consumers, are not coming to us for technology. They are coming to us for something else. So what we need to remember is our website needs to be accessible. We are using it for more visibility, and it needs to have accessibility for our consumer. So we need to make sure that we build an in-house team to take care of our websites and consistently tweak them where they may be underperforming in the fact that our consumer can't navigate.
Right, and it goes back to thinking like a customer. Don't design it so that the customer is like frustrated.
They can't figure it out.
They can't figure it out. They can't find what they need. And what do? Go to competition.
That's right.
So we have social media and creating loyalty. Let's kind of, I mean, we're all so social media savvy now. Never thought I would be, but it's important.
Well, it's a piece of, it is a part of, but let's remember what we've read about some of the big CEOs who are on LinkedIn who have said, if you can't take the time to put a photograph, put a picture of yourself and build out your bio, then I can't take the time to do the work for you and try to figure out who you are. So let's take that into creating loyalty. What do we as consumers want? We look at the brand, we look at the logo, it entices us, the website is cool, and now we want to know a little bit more before we take our hard-earned dollars, if you will, and decide whether we're going to company X or company Y. We want to know who the face is behind the brand. And I think someone who has done a remarkable job with this is Ralph Lauren. Think about that.
Yeah.
We feel we know him because he has been truthful with us. He is, look, whether you're an immigrant or whether you're born in this country, he is the rags to riches story. And who doesn't want the American dream of coming from nothing and building yourself into an empire? So the demographic that doesn't have a lot of disposable income is loyal to him. And the demographic that has a lot of disposable income is also very loyal because he has been true to the classicism in his lines, which came from watching movies and being inspired by Fred Astaire and Clark Gable. And so he's very true to the brand. He's invited us into his home to get to, I feel like I know the family. I feel like I know Dylan, and I feel like I know him and the ranch, yet we don't.
Right, and that's very true, because you even think about when the branding of the major corporations, the Googles, you can go to work in tennis shoes and everybody knows, and so it's really important. But let's creativity, disconnect.
Oh, yes. So you brought up Google, and that's a great mark. So let's go with that. How many of us have said, I want to work at Google? I have clients all the time who I go into the offices and the staff is saying, oh, if this could only be like Google. And I say, well, what do you like about Google? And they're like, they get to work out at the gym in the middle of the day. They get to, go to a nap pod. And I'm like, well, have you been to Google? No. Do you know anyone who works there? Yeah, and I've heard about it, and it just sounds great. So it's interesting that Google is this technology company, yet they realize how important it is to disconnect so their employees can reconnect into creativity. So you can go to childcare and have lunch with your kids. And again, the idea isn't about sitting there and getting, that thumb exercise. Right. It's about seeing your children in the middle of the day and having that connection that so many working parents would love.
And I also think is that in today's world, owners are forgetting that we're moms, dads, aunts, uncles, that we have a personal life, and while we want to give as much as we can to our company, forget about it. I have to go home early because my child is sick or whatever it may be. We are just close to our 20 minutes, believe it or not.
Are we? Okay.
We are exactly
Time
at 20
flies when you're having fun.
I really would like you to talk about the Volkswagen.
Well, Volkswagen, very similar to that link that Google has. They realized that their employees were staying on their servers, answering emails, working on projects well into the weekend. And so a couple of years ago, Volkswagen took the initiative. They shut their servers down Friday night, and they do not turn them back on until Monday morning, 6 a.m. So if you are trying to check on, oh, you know, Joe, I know he sent me that email, I was waiting, it doesn't matter. You'll find out Monday morning. And they have found that the productivity of their workers started to increase. And it makes sense. If we are leaving work only to continue to work, but merely just in a different location, and continue to do that all through our weekend, we don't arrive rested.
Yeah, we're never calm.
Well, we haven't disconnected from our work world to reconnect into our personal lives.
Well, I think one of, in your book is, you know, technology has become our new addiction.
Yes, I really believe that.
And I love the fact is that vacation or time off is our opportunity to slow down. Yes. I mean, and we need to slow down, folks. So, of course, we have our usual think-abouts. So, I think Holland was extremely, right spot on this. Schedule a live meeting within the next 1 to 2 weeks, and to continue to keep the commitment. Discuss strategies to improve within your organization. And disconnect from your devices during meetings. I mean, when we come in studio, it's like, make sure your phone is off, okay? When you go to a seminar, make sure your phone is off. And I really have got to start telling people when they go to lunch and the phone is right there. And I'm like, please put your phone away. If it's not important enough for you to have a meeting with me, we're on nice time right now.
Yes,
okay.
And you want to be a good leader. So I ask a lot of my business owners, the CEOs, the team leaders to have your meetings device-free. Ask people to show up old school, where we're just going to talk. We're going to
bounce. They're going to freak out.
Yeah, we're going to bounce around new ideas, and we're not going to be sitting here like this.
Yeah.
And it's really amazing the creativity and the ideas and the inspiration that spring from not being tethered to our devices.
Well, it was interesting. I was interviewing a CEO recently for his vision for his company, and he did not look, or his phone was not on the desk that we were talking with. But someone came in to ask a question, interrupted, and then the phone came back.
Yes.
And yet we were so much more productive when we were just talking one-on-one in trying to get to those visions and goals.
Yes.
So I think this quote from we're almost out of time, but I'm going to do the Twitter question. As we continue to make technological advances, we realize technology cannot understand human emotions and empathy. You know, it's like we forget about the human touch lately. And
yes,
I
we
think,
do.
you know, today you've brought us back to consciously connecting with ourselves. So I do have a Twitter question.
Oh, good.
But the Twitter question's from me because
I'm sure you have good questions.
I just, you know, any ideas on how to break the habit of being tethered to a technology like a phone?
Oh, I get this question all the time. So, a couple of ideas. First of all, a lot of us use our cell phones now as our alarm clocks. So what happens is that alarm goes off and we're not even out of bed and we are already technologically connecting. So I would ask, if you do that, that you treat it as an old-fashioned alarm and you shut it off and you get up and you shower and you have your coffee and you connect to your family and you kind of gauge internally what you need to do for the day and where your priorities need to be. And after that point, you then go to the phone to check emails.
Do that.
Another one is my husband and I go off the grid. That's what we like to call it. We have our movie dates and our dinner dates where we don't take our phones because we feel the temptation is too great as you're waiting for the movie to start. You know, here we are. Yes, it's easy to, oh, let me check social media. Let me look for that email. And it's really great. We're trying to connect to each other and disconnect from that. And you can't do that if you're carrying the phone with you.
Or walking into a telephone pole like I see it. Yeah. Once in a while I go to the city and I go, that person's going to walk right in the pole. And they do. Yes. It's just very scary. Very, very scary. So I just want to recap to reach us, Holland Haiis. Haiis. I knew I was going to do it once.
It's okay.
I knew it. But she does have a website, and it's hollandhaiis.com. We talked about that. And you can search for her on Twitter and LinkedIn. LinkedIn is, again, her name. Twitter is her name. And the cell number is up on the screen. And for myself, I'm an independent call contact center consultant, so you know how to reach me if you need to. And certainly do want to thank the Daily Blue and Blue Chip Marketing, because they are the ones that produce our show and get us on the air, and for that our camera crew, Mike, is here. Thank you very much. And Desiree, our producer, was called out for a meeting. But please go to the Daily Blue at thedailyblue.com on Twitter, and certainly you can reach them at 631-761-9223. And for next week, this is going to be, I think, a very interesting show. It's returning guest. She works for Lloyd Staffing, Barbara Cohen-Farber, and we're going to talk about the value of interns. And I think that's going to be a very interesting show.
Yes.
So with that, my guests, thank you very much. I appreciate
you for having me.
We had a great time this morning.
Yes, we did.
And to all of you, thank you for clicking in. Stay safe, and until next week, have a great one. Bye-bye.
Bye.